Well, with the almost certain RBA rate cut tomorrow and an election right around the corner, these Newspoll come into sharp focus. Today's one is particularly interesting and it is going to be a tight election. Joining me now is the Nationals leader, David Littleproud. David, good to see you. First of all, what do you think of these numbers today? Are we headed for minority?
Yeah, well, look, it's telling in the fact that over 55% of Australians believe the country's heading in the wrong direction. And in regional Australia, that's 60%. They've asked themselves, do they feel better off and do they feel safer after 3 years of Anthony Albanese? And they overwhelmingly say they don't. So as we get closer to the election, I think what will come into sharper focus is our policies. I don't think they've really been listening too intently until the election is called. But what it also poses is a real risk to this country. The chaos of independents and Teals and the Greens and Labor. Because if you run the ruler across the crossbench now, there's only very few that would be able to work constructively with a coalition government. So Australians need to understand they have a clear choice at the next election and they can set the country on the right path if they give the coalition a mandate to undertake that.
How many of these independents do you think you can pick off and support if you get enough seats to be negotiating for minority?
Oh, look, you only have to look at the voting record of most of them. They vote with the Greens and the Labor Party the majority of the time. So there are some eminently sensible ones there. I mean, Bob Katter has proved it before. So too has Rebecca Sharkey and Di Lee. And I think Allegra Spender has shown probably of all the Teals the maturity that the others haven't. In being able to work constructively and understand that it's not always about trying to save the planet, it's also about trying to save Australians' wallets that's been bled dry by an ideology. So that means that we've got to go deeper. But if you have to rely on the ideology of a few to shape the country, then it's going to have significant impact on the outcomes. And that's why if you vote for an independent or a Teal, you're voting for Anthony Albanese effectively at this next election.
All right, let's look at these stats from the Productivity Commission today. Housing approval numbers are the lowest they've been in a decade, and we've had a focus on housing. We've been talking about the housing crisis for the better part of 3 years. What's happened here?
Well, it's just got harder and harder, and I think developers are giving up. We're seeing headworks charges continue to go up. This is an abject failure of state and local government, but a failure of federal government around a proper immigration policy. We've brought in nearly 1.67 million people, a city bigger than the size of Adelaide, and we prioritise dog groomers and martial arts instructors instead of some plumbers, some electricians, some roofers and tilers that might be able to increase supply. And we welcome the fact that government's now matching us on banning foreigners competing with Australians in auctions on a Saturday. But it's also about construction code madness. This government now has a 7-star construction code, adding $60,000 to the construction of a home, putting it out of the reach of many Australians. We've said we'll pause it there and we'll just look line by line by what can sensibly be taken out of that to ensure that we do get some competitive tension back in the marketplace, not adding burden onto what you're trying to do. But we're also got a fund to help do that last piece of infrastructure to increase supply. We've got to increase supply as quickly as we possibly can, and that's multifaceted. That's what we intend to attack this problem on, but we need state and local governments, and our money is reliant on time. If they don't use it, they lose it. And that's why we've said to the $5 billion that we'll put out there, it must be started in the next 12 months. Otherwise, that last mile of infrastructure is all yours. So state and local government and developers have an opportunity. But this is really where states need to lift the game. They control local government. And when you see that approvals and approval times and costings have just blown out, something's not right.